Hello and welcome to day 2 of oval racing for Raccoon Racing. I decided to give it another go because I was having a lot of fun in this category and on this track, the 2008 Phoenix International Raceway track. This was a pretty smooth race. There was one incident that kind of put me back, but it didn't put me back far enough that I cared. I still finished ahead of where I started. I started in position 12. This time we've got the updated livery. We're no longer in the default green. We got our signature orange and black colors. Rocking our number 07 car. And so yeah, turn 1 went actually, I don't think anybody crashed in turn 1, and only 2 people took themselves out on turn 2. So all things considered, it went pretty smooth on lap 1. Everybody was very respectful this race, trying to avoid each other. There was some incidents where there's a code brown. Um, one of them being during the finish line straight, where everybody just starts crashing on one of these laps upcoming, and it is brutal. But we end up a little bit here in the mid pack. I'm not pushing too hard yet since I'm still on the fresh tires. Still getting used to getting just a little bit faster each time with each lap. I did set a faster lap today than I did the other day, so I am seeing some progress. During this race, I believe my fastest lap ends up being a 29-second lap versus the 30s and 31s I was setting yesterday. And even right there in that last lap, we set a 30.145. So the times are definitely improving. I'm getting used to using the gas to steer the car in more just a little bit and using the brake to straighten it out more. Just the small things to make sure I'm not going slower. And there's the first 29. As you can see, we're not too far behind the pack. I'm just making my way up to them slowly, kind of waiting it out to see if anybody makes any mistakes, because since this is the rookie series, I know somebody's not going to be as consistent as everybody else. Sometimes that person is me. And as you can see here, the pack is fairly spread out, but not by too bad that it's a big differential yet. Everybody's racing their own little races here. So it was a very fun time. Nobody was really dominating or destroying at the very beginning of the race. And as we're heading into turn 3 again, I'm finally starting to be chased down by the number 96 car. He tries to go around the outside each time, but I just keep taking that defensive line, not really letting him push too hard onto me. And he tries to push it again to the outside because people were starting to crash again on the first straight. As you can see, I barely make it out there, just barely damaging my right side, but not enough that I was too worried. I actually didn't even notice it until now. But unfortunately, the 96 did take a big blunt hit to the side, and he just ended up smoking himself out of the race, so he had to pull over, get towed back to the pit. So we're back to fighting again for our own position at number 10, just trying to play catch up to the rest of the group. So now that we're back here again, we are going down the straight, being able to get nobody to block us, nobody to fight against from behind. We can just keep pushing on this lap and try to play catch up. So we're staying down in the low 30s. I'm not quite consistently getting 29s yet. I'm still trying to find out how to really push the line in this car without spinning out into a turn, because some of these turns are definitely scary, that's for sure. And so we start making some progress again, starting to catch up to some people in the pack. And so nothing too exciting happens for a few laps, but then we go into lap 16, and unfortunately this is where I make my first big mistake. We are in position 6, we were doing really well, and right into this turn, I don't know exactly what I did. I simply messed up and threw myself in a place I did not want to be right there, unfortunately. And I think it was that I thought the car was going to oversteer into the infield, and I tried to correct, and me and the 2 car unfortunately just collide during my spin. I feel really bad. I apologize. And even worse, though, is as I'm trying to come back on, I get swiped twice on the infield. Not really my ideal way of spending the day right there. Like, the first guy, whatever, he just taps me. It's not a big deal. But this guy, he couldn't even handle it. I'm not actually sure what happened to him. Let's see. Let's go to that number 3 camera. So here comes my spin out. I accidentally turn it into the wall. I take out number 2. They come through. He comes through. Oh, so he gets spun out there. Yikes. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just a really bad situation, and so we end up going back to the pits. Can't really do much from what happened in that situation, so we simply take our tow and get back to the race as soon as we can. And with the tow over, we start to take our pit. And back out we start going. And so we're right back out again, and surprisingly, we are right next to the 96 car once more. So we're going to go ahead and start taking him on to keep up. I tell him to pass since I was on the fresh tires. I wasn't going to overdo it on the first lap out. But I very quickly start to realize that I'm going to be able to catch up to him and use his draft to keep myself propelling along. So we go ahead and we slip past there, and then I believe this is the start of my fastest lap here. We're going to go into lap 19. You can see I'm just coming up behind him real fast. I actually ended up braking just a little bit so I'm not flying into his rear end and not flying into the wall. I decided I'm going to keep it just right behind his car, but eventually that's not enough, and I know I'm going to have to start setting up to pass, especially with this slower guy coming up on the right. And there is our fastest lap with the 29.6. So I am definitely seeing my speed improving. I don't want to call it my racecraft quite, because it's not too close of racing quite yet with other cars, but I'm starting to understand how the oval works and enjoying it a lot more as I keep doing it. So we are starting to enter these last few laps. Unfortunately, with that spin out, it did put me back about 2 or 3 laps. I can't quite remember it at this moment. And then I accidentally almost made the same mistake, but decided to save it this time instead of shunting it into the wall. I took a little bit of grass there, flew off the curb, just doing some stunt tricks before the end of the race. But we get back on the track, we push it to the finish, and we still manage to make our way through another oval race with only some minor injuries. And with my luck, actually, right there at the end, he ends up getting spun out by the number 96 car, which puts me into 10th position. I gotta say a small thank you to number 96. I think it's because I let him pass earlier. He's like, here you go. Here's your handout for number 10. But yeah, there will definitely be more of these races coming. I enjoy this series a lot, and I'll be interested to see what happens when I get into the even more intense cars that push even faster and harder. And here are our results. So I was 3 laps behind after that crash. If it hadn't been specifically for that spin out, I probably would have been closer to the top 5. I was actually pushing pretty well. Uh, and yeah, I mean, it was a good time. I really can't complain. This was another good experience. So I will continue to keep pushing more of these out and see what more we can do with it.